Brad Amthauer, Amthauer Club Lambs owner of Paddy The Baddy, who is one of our RSG Sires. And we're going to cut right into it. Brad, tell us a little bit about Paddy on the genetic side.
Yep. So Paddy, he goes back to his mom as she's an old Brian Johnson ewe, Uptown Funk, Screwball Hammer. She kind of came around. I bought a wether out of her. It was actually a full sib to Paddy The Baddy, and he was a skinny one. He weaned, came into the house, and he was phenomenal. One of the best ones I'd ever had come through. Unfortunately, that sheep we lost him, and he never hit the show ring. But a year and a half goes by, and that donor came up for sale on Willoughby's Las Vegas donor sale. Yeah, it's the Sin City sale. And I called Charlie Hild, and I'm like, hey, you want to partner on this ewe? And he's like, heck yeah. So we bought 2 donors off of there, and have had very good luck. Paddy's mom, she had, besides that wether we got that died early, she'd had a buck that sold to Quickle. He called Smoke and Mirrors. And I think there was another buck lamb that sold out of Smoke and Mirrors flush that had been out of her. Since we've had her, we have flushed her. We flushed her twice last year. We had first ones were unicorn flushes, which is Paddy's flush. It was a good flush for me. I had Paddy, which was a standout. And then I had there was a ewe lamb out of there that was damn good. That ended up she ended up 3rd overall, or bronze ewe at Tulsa. And I'm actually flushing her this year. Pretty excited about that. And then the second flush last year, we took her to break the internet. Had a good group of males. There was one in Oklahoma that Charlie raised that got along really well. There's a ewe, one of them ewe lambs that I kept out of break on her that we're going to flush this year. She's got 2 bullseye ewe lambs. I actually AI'd all my break the internet ewe lambs to bullseye. Got a couple of them that are as good a ewe lambs as I'm going to raise. So I figured she needed to go into the donor pins. So out of 6 donors, there's 2 of them are out of Paddy's mom. One's a full sib. This year we flushed her to Saban, and on the first flush, and then we did Chief on the second flush. Both of them worked really well. I got there's a Saban I kept out of Paddy's mom that Stella, my daughter's got on feed, and then I kept a Chief buck lamb out of her, had her up her second flush. So, to me, what I like about that, it's got a female that we've bred 4 different ways, and has worked every time. And kind of to some variety there in terms of what those bucks are, types and kinds, and she's worked consistently, which I think is a good sign of a true donor.
Yeah.
One that you can breed to quite a few bucks and work every time. Like I said, Paddy he's a unicorn, Uptown Funk, Screwball Hammer. And on that Uptown Funk, Screwball Hammer, some of you might not even know those genetics. That's some old school Brian Johnson stuff. I think if I remember right, I believe she's a 2016 is what that ewe is. There was quite a few Uptowns at Brian's over the years that I'd seen. And, some of them were some of the furry or woolly ones in there, I thought. The first couple crops, and I felt pretty confident in that. And I think a good point about that is, being a unicorn on them kind of older school Brian Johnson genetics, it's an outcross for people.
Yeah.
To an extent, everybody's got drop the mic, everybody's got unicorn genetics out there. But most of them on the dam side tie right back into some kind of a drop the mic derivative. And that everything in Paddy's mom, that's pre the D gene,
Right.
That's pre midget gene and all those. So I think it gives you some predictability in terms of muscle, touch, sheep that have some show ring look. I like that about that aspect of Paddy. So
cool.
Yeah.
So let's you kind of touched on it a little bit, and for the people that hasn't seen him at your place or even in this ram barn there at RSG, what would you describe Paddy just looking at him from a phenotype standpoint?
Yeah. So, to me, Paddy's one of them. Like, he looked dang good as a baby. got into, April, May, June, July, into him maturing, every time someone would see him, if they'd see him more than once, you could tell people were just blown away. And that sheep kept getting better. He was good from the beginning. And, to see him as a mature buck, he has, to me, everything it takes to be an elite show sheep. I mean, that sheep's wide. He balances from the side. His cage is phenomenal. Just in terms of being wide and square, but still tucked up good in the base of his rib and how it ties into his chest floor. His flanks good. When you look at the design of his hip and butt is one thing that I really like. It's square. It's got, I won't say roundness to it, but it's got flair to it. That he has from all directions. And that's what, the sheep that you see that win these big shows, they're ones that have that. Not all these bucks that are out there have that. And I think Paddy does. Front to rear being cracked open and still made like a show sheep. That's probably the best way I can say. He just, I hate to say checks all the boxes, but I mean, that sheep is extremely hard to put a hole in. And if you see him in person, I think you'll understand, which is most of the feedback that we've got from everybody that's seen him. It's been pretty consistent on that.
You said he looks like a show sheep, and as over a yearling now, I can attest to that. He's pretty intriguing to look at in person, still as a mature ram. So that being said, what if you, in a perfect world, what kind of female would you take Paddy to put yourself in the best shoes for success?
I think Paddy, the good thing about Paddy is, being stout and square, yet still balanced and smooth in his design, show sheep looking. I think that gives you some variety in what you can breed him to. Whether you want to take him to ewes that need a little more muscle added to them, that are on the prettier side, or them thick ewes that, hey, I don't want to give up a lot of muscle, but I need to make them look a little more like a show sheep. So I think you could blanket that thing a little bit on any of these more modern genetic sheep that we got. I think you can use him quite versatile in that aspect. If I was going to pick an ideal ewe, I would probably, I'd probably go to more of your probably hotter D genetics. I would think it'd probably be a good spot to go with him. I don't think that D in him's real strong. And I don't want to say that as a sheep that I think is going to get too big, and all of a sudden be FF looking. I just think you can, if you take him to them kind of soggier ewes, I think you're going to get the ones that you're going to be really happy from a selling standpoint. I think them babies are going to be what you're looking for to be the ones that can go to sales and sell for, the $10,000 plus range. I think you can do that if you're going to flushing that way. So that'd be probably my ideal ewe, but I think that thing can be bred to a wide variety in terms of what them sheep look like on the ewe side.
Sure, absolutely. Wrap this up. Accomplishments so far for Paddy in terms of his lamb crop on the ground this year.
Yep. So unfortunately, Paddy wasn't real good early last year. Had him out with ewes. We got a handful. I didn't think he was covering ewes. Turns out he was. Poor shepherding on my part, but never claimed to be an expert. But we had a handful of wethers in that late January, early February timeframe. I got those things sold to some really good homes down to the south. Kind of a couple of them might make tall, or they'll be kind of that OIE aged sheep, just from maturity on where those things were. Got a handful of ewe lambs in that late set that we got bred to him. Them things, the ewe lambs look dang good. I had one male out of the deal. Just there was one male in the late set. He sold south, and then there's ewe lambs that I kept. So kept a dang nice set of females. They got bone, shape, just ones you can breed on. So
absolutely.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Well, that's a little bit of quick information there on Paddy the Baddy. For pricing or any more information, feel free to reach out to Brad or visit rsgsires.com, and you can see his pricing and a full pedigree and his information there. Brad, thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for the time, Jordan.
Hey, thanks.